Let's go to line number 1. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, Paddy.
Morning.
How are you?
Doing okay this morning. How about you?
Oh, great. Dude, I'm a first-time caller.
Terrific.
I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, just take your time. It's all good. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I was starting to say that I listen to you every morning for the past, 10 years. I think you're great.
Thanks.
I was going to enlighten you about what it's like in HMP.
Go right ahead.
I've been in there. I've struggled with a bad drug addiction for, 5 or 6 years. And I've done some theft-related crimes, and I ended up in HMP. Now, the past 2 years, I'm after getting better, and I'm going back to school and whatnot. But I was listening to a gentleman earlier on the Openline, and he said that it's like a 5-star hotel in HMP, and he thinks they all should be fed bread and water. And I don't think that's right, because, if you got sent in there, if you were suspected of a crime, you would get sent in there waiting trial on remand. And if you were actually innocent, you'd be the one that was locked up in deplorable conditions being fed bread and water. Or imagine if it was your child that was the one in that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been through everything. I'm sure, I know you heard about it, all the riots and the major assaults and the church incident. I've been through all that. Mm-hmm. I've seen it all firsthand. And I'm telling you, it's quite scary, right? If you're in there and, say if you've just done a petty theft, you get locked up with, murderers and whatnot, right? You're in the same range as them. And I got to tell you, it's pretty unnerving, right? And if you make a wrong step in there, you get yourself hurt. If you see somebody getting hurt, you can't step in, or you're going to be a victim yourself. Yeah.
Let's get down to a couple of the things that you bring up. So right off the bat, you say that your serious drug addiction led you to commit some crimes, theft to help fuel your addiction. When you were incarcerated, what attention, if any, were you given to deal with your drug addiction?
There's various programs in there. One in which is the Mimosa program. And there's also a drug counselor, and a psychologist in there. They're very helpful, but, it's hard to see them, right? And if the guards don't think that you're suitable to go out and see them, you won't get to see them at all. They'll lock you in your cell. And every time you need help, the guards are never around to help you. Like, if you try to get their attention, they just shrug you off, or they'll lock you in your cell. You're not allowed out anywhere. And if there's a lockdown, say if something bad happens, you'll miss your programs for several weeks. They'll turn off the toilets on you.
How often would you get to see the counselor?
The counselor? Mm-hmm. The Mimosa program is only 2 or 3 days a week, mm-hmm. and you go up for about 2 hours. And you sit down. It's almost like an NA meeting, right? And you talk about your addiction. They tell you ways to stop your addiction and, help you from there on. If you are a candidate to, if you go to the Mimosa program, you're able to go to the Howard House and get out early on a TA or a parole. And I was a candidate for that. You got to also have clean urines while you're in there every week, right? Yeah. I was also on the methadone program in there, so I stayed clean, and I made it to the Howard House. But if you fail a P-test, you get sent back, and you got to do all your time, right? Instead of getting out 2/3.
There is a drug addiction issue, of course, which is the reason behind many people committing the crimes that finds them in prison. And then there, of course, is the mental health issues of which we understand many inmates are suffering from. In your estimation, how many of the people down there that were incarcerated, just use percentage maybe is the easiest way to go, they are actually suffering with a mental health issue, which means that they're probably in the wrong place?
I'd say a good 50% of them.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah. Like a lot of people, I've seen somebody that wanted to go to the Waterford Hospital. The guards would ignore him, and he ended up cutting his arm open, and which spewing blood all over the floor with a razor, like you get razors to shave with, one of those disposables. Cut his arm right open, and that was the only way to get the attention to make it to the Waterford Hospital.
People want, and here, I'm not telling you something you don't know. Yeah. People, when someone commits a crime, and whatever it is, whether it be robbing a store or anything under the sun, people now are fed up, people are afraid in their own homes, people are wanting for the punishment and penalties to be far more severe. They want people to be down there living in whatever conditions that are presented at HMP. They want you in there for twice or 10 times as long as you've been sentenced to. Having been someone who has been in Her Majesty's, why are they wrong? I mean, because we want the punishment to be commensurate with the crime, and we need people to be punished so that they so-called learn their lesson. What do you make of when people come at you with that particular approach?
I totally agree with them, but I think that, like, you know, as human beings, we should live in, you know, have these. They can offer more programs to get help. They can, like, just the conditions in the summertime. I was in there past summer, and it was so hot that people put up 2 of the ranges and completely destroyed one, did $300,000 worth of damage because the guards wouldn't listen that we needed the air conditioning fixed. They put 2 fans on each range, and everyone was completely sweating. We were in our shorts, just in our shorts, and we would just sit there sweating to death. And if somebody got in trouble, they'd lock everyone in their cells, in which it was so hot, just all day long, everyone was kicking their doors, trying to get an attention, get the air conditioning fixed. And everyone's kicking up a fuss because no one listens to them. Like, you know, like the guards don't, you know, you can't get no one's help. The only way you can get someone's help is to call out to your folks or something, right? Mm-hmm. And you can call, what else is citizen's rep? Right. But every time there's a problem, if the guard knows you're going to call citizen's rep, he won't let you out of your cell. Right? Because it gets him in trouble. Well, but you know, I do agree that people should go to prison, and you know what I mean, and you know, I agree with punishments and whatnot. But it's just that the conditions in there are just horrible. It's an old prison. It needs to be updated, right? And I don't blame the guards for that. Like, you know, the guards are understaffed, and you know what I mean, and it's just a outdated prison. It needs a new prison. When people refer to the fact that there's more gang activity on the city and the northeast Avalon, or I guess the provincial streets, that's one thing, but then in the prison it plays a serious role so far as the level of violence, the amount of control that certain groups of prisoners have. How bad is the gang presence in the prison, and is it getting worse? Oh, it's huge. It's really big. It's just like every single range and stuff like that. Like you gotta abide by, like, it's not just prison rules from the guards. Like, you got rules in prison as well, right? And the gangs rule all the ranges. So if you don't listen to somebody that's a part of a gang, like, you're outnumbered. There's only you, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you don't listen to them, you're just going to become a victim of the penalties that become of the situation you're in, you know what I mean? If you reach over someone's tray, you probably get the tray bounced off your head. I mean, if someone's playing cards at the table, if you go use the toilet next to their in your cell next to that table, then you're in big trouble. If you slam the door coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning, if you're doing your laundry, and you wake somebody up before 11 o'clock, likewise, right? There's all these small little things like that, and it's all gang control. Like, if I see somebody, like a little skinny fella, and, you know, someone involved in a gang is going to beat him up, the guy's probably 10 times the size, but just because they're a big group, everyone will beat him up in that group, right? And just because it's all run by gangs. So they do everything as a team. You can't do nothing about it. And if you try to get the help of a guard, they're behind the bubble. They call it the bubble. It's just a strong plexiglass window, and if they see some trouble arising, they'll call code yellow over the PA, and the guards will be there in about 5 or 10 minutes, and by that time, everything's, you know, said and done. Someone's lying in a heap on the floor, they call an ambulance, and everyone gets locked in for a week or 2. Other than the drug addiction counseling, opportunities to rehabilitate or whatever, because for me, you know, I'm already getting notes, emails and tweets at me saying, you know, boo-hoo, you know, sounds like you're getting treated like a prisoner because you committed a crime. And I understand people's want for the punishment to play an active role. I also think that if I'm going to live in a city that is the home of the major prison, then I would only hope. Now, I mean, I'm no fan of people committing crime and end up in prison, because it is what it is. You commit the crime, you do the time. You know the cliche. But if they come out worse than when they went in, whether it be because not sufficient treatment or their drug addiction, whether it is their mental health, they had a mental health issue that does not belong in prison in the first place. But if we don't rehabilitate people and they come out worse than when they went in, the problem continues to grow, not just because of insufficient sentences. What other opportunities to rehabilitate are in HMP? It's just, the classification is whack. I mean, if somebody committed a minor theft or something like that, they're not a hardcore criminal. but they get stuck in the same range as somebody that committed like several murders and like, you know, big drug dealers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think the classification should be totally changed. It's really bad in there, right? And I'm after seeing guards make people go in there, and they're after getting beat up, like, you know, as soon as they walk through the door.
Is that just because of the age of the facility and the amount of close quarters? There's nowhere to segregate them. Okay.
It's overcrowded, right? And there's no room for nothing, and the guards all agree with you. I've been reading every newspaper since all this has been going on, right?
What about the behavior of the guards? Are they...
Oh, that's a whole different story, Betty.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I'm not going to give my name, right?
No, and you don't have to. So when it comes to the guards, now we do know they're in a dangerous situation. They probably haven't had the appropriate resources to remain safe. They've got a lot of blind corners down there. They might not have the appropriate numbers on staff, blah, 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 the age of the facility, the appearance and the domination of gangs. But how do they behave on a professional level?
Oh, Patty, they looks great in front of a camera, but, I mean, the elevator used to be the place where people used to get beatings, right? And now they got a camera in the elevator, the place where if you get in trouble, you're going down the hole, right? The hole's down the bottom. It's just like a really crappy cell. Got a concrete slab you sleep on, and there's pish and SHIT all over the walls, right?
Yeah.
And when they bring you down there, they're going to put you in full shackles, feet and hands, and they're going to put you in there, and they're going to kick your head in. Most likely they'll try to keep the marks down below the neck, because then you get in trouble. Now, recently, a fellow I know was in there went to the hole, and he caught a guard, like, card on camera. His lawyer got a videotape of the guard kicking him in the face while he's on the ground. And, I mean, there's lots of court cases going on where people got guards on tape. I've seen one of them, actually. Someone got a disclosure from the church. You're the church, right? Mm-hmm. The church, well,
yeah, I remember that.
He was lying on the ground. The guard gave him a good drop kick in the face when he was walking past him in the hallway. You know what I mean? Like, you can restrain people, put them on the ground, but you don't need to beat them to death. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Especially in shackles, like, you don't give them a chance, right? Well,
and there should be no chance because there shouldn't be any beating or violence headed in either direction. We know it's the reality of life in a prison. So, when the bottom line is, if you don't like it in jail, don't go back in. Do you think that unless it's a drug addiction, and I think these are separate issues, drug addictions and mental health, I think we should treat in a certain way when we talk about incarceration. Do people who spend time in Her Majesty's Penitentiary, who are not suffering or have had some help for their drug addiction, mental health has to be a completely different conversation in my mind. Do we have recidivism because we have that amount of criminal elements in society, or are people getting a fighting chance to not be back inside because it was a hellhole, or because they're afraid of it, or they think there's opportunity to rehabilitate, they see the error in the ways, all those cliches we flick around. Do we have people coming out worse than when they went in?
Yes. I've been in there, Patty. Sometimes there's more availability of drugs in jail than there is on the street. I've watched with my own eyes. I've seen people overdose many times. I've seen 3 people overdose one day. Sure, you heard in the lockup one time 3 people overdosed in one day.
How much drugs gets in?
A lot. And you know how people get it in, of course. And I remember the guy was saying that people got cell phones and internet. The only way you're getting a cell phone in there is up your you know what.
And so is that how they still get drugs in too? Well, we all think, you know, so if you don't have a cavity search, then you may indeed have smuggled some in your rectum or wherever, right?
They strip you down completely, right down to, like, every time you get moved, if they suspect you of bringing stuff in, they're taking all your clothes off, putting you in the shower, and you're going to turn around and bend over for them, right?
Yeah.
But still, they can't see right through you, right?
Yeah, it's a tricky conversation. People want me to speak to former convicts as if they're the scum of the earth, and if you've committed a crime that has hurt anybody or beat up anyone's property or stole their money, whatever the case may be, then you deserve to be punished.
I feel terrible for what I did. It's almost like my hands are tied because I was so badly addicted, and I feel like, you know, I'm rehabilitated now. I've always got the urge to do it. I've done bad stuff, and probably I only got caught for probably about 10% of the stuff I did.
Sure.
And I still feel bad, and I still feel the need to. I've been ahead of a big news segment on me too, and it embarrassed me to tears because I'm not that kind of guy, right? I just fell off the train, and I want to get completely back on track, and I want to do a follow-up of that news segment on me because it just embarrassed me to tears. All my family seen it, right? And I've been listening to people on Openline talking about, they don't have a clue what they're talking about when it comes to prison. I got a bird's eye view because I've been there. I've lived there for a year. And I just want to fill you in and give you the chance to pick my brain a bit, and if you got any questions, you know what I mean, I can help you out.
I tried to ask him, because, I mean, I think we've got a problem on every level here. The amount of crime, the type of criminals, what goes on in that pen, the level of recidivism. I think it's all a legitimate part of the conversation. I appreciate your time this morning. On behalf of the rest of us out there who are trying to keep our heads above water and not to commit criminal acts, we hope that you've got exactly what you want now, and that you try to turn it around, because we can't afford repeat offenders, and we can't afford the scourge of society that is a new wave of criminals. So I hope you got your life in order and you got your act turned around here, because it's obviously important to you, and it's important to the rest of us.
I got a child too, and I feel bad, and it's time for me to change, right? And I feel I got it out of me, and you know what I mean, and there's no turning back. So I got myself on my feet, I got a job, I got a vehicle, and I'm chugging along there. Patty, can I send out a couple thank yous to the people that helped me out with my drug addiction?
Go ahead.
Bill Ranson at the Howard House. He's a really, really, really good person to talk to, along with Christy and Rob and Susie, all the people at the Howard House.
Okay.
They really, really, really helped me along. If it wasn't for them, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah, those are kind services. We don't give it enough credit, because it's a big reason why people don't go back in. If they want to, turn their life around, we need those kinds of services when you get out. Listen, I appreciate your time this morning. Just keep it on the straight and narrow, and I guess that's all anybody can hope for you, and I'm sure your child and your family are hoping that exact thing.
Thank you, Betty.
Appreciate your time.
I'll listen to the open line, and if I can throw in a bit of feedback for you, I'll help you out.
Whatever you see fit, man, because it's a tricky conversation. People want you punished, but we also need you when you get out to turn it around.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm not being soft on crime. That's where I think these conversations get sidetracked. Why would I have a kind heart and soft on crime? I have young children. I'm a homeowner. Why would I want anyone to feel like it's okay and they get a slap on the wrist to do anything that hurts me or my family? Of course they don't. But we have to have a legitimate, adult, mature, reasonable view of crime and punishment. We want them punished? Yes. We need them to have a chance to be rehabilitated for the obvious reasons. We don't need them coming out worse than when they went in. We don't need them to come out jaded and hardened and willing to commit the next level of crime. This is not soft on crime. This is a realistic approach to making sure the communities are safer. Isn't that what we want? Or is it bloodlust where we want everyone to get the hell kicked out of them and to come out worse than when they went in? And so instead of robbing your outboard, they stab you to death. We just got to think about this. It's not soft on crime. This is the reality of safer communities.